Hi, my name is Lisa from Lisa's Sanctuary. I left an abusive relationship 10 years ago and I've made it my mission, my purpose, my service, my message to others about how to escape from abusive relationships and how to live in peace afterwards, because you don't just start to heal after you leave the relationship. I believe it starts before you leave the relationship. I believe that healing is a forever journey, and I've sort of started moving away from the word journey, because to me, journey feels like hard work. It feels like a grueling, challenging, kind of experience. So I've sort of started referring to it as a healing pathway. Get on the pathway and just keep traveling along that pathway to feeling better. And so it does begin before you leave the relationship. But when I sit where I am now, I realized that there were 4 significant steps or significant parts to healing from that relationship, from the trauma, and even healing from the childhood abuse that I experienced at the hands of a family friend. So my 4 parts are safety, support, sustenance, and self-acceptance. And I was really careful to keep it as 4 S's, because that just makes it easier for me to remember and makes it easier for me to promote it, to be honest. And so safety, I think that safety is so important with abusive relationships. You need to create safety from them. And it's not only physical safety, it's emotional safety as well. Because abusive and violent relationships have the potential to harm us physically by creating injury, by creating pain, by creating wounds, and even causing death. It also has the potential to create emotional harm in the form of stress and anxiety, depression, mental illness, and that low self-esteem, low confidence, and really despising who you are and who you're becoming. So it's really important to create safety even before you've left the relationship. Safety in terms of personal safety, creating those moments, really trying to fit in moments throughout your day where you are physically safe. You may be, taking 5 minutes extra after dropping kids at school. You may be spending time, on your own in one of the rooms in the house. Maybe once your partner goes to work, you have that physical safety where you are not in actual physical harm's way. There is still the issue of emotional safety though, because a lot of victims of abusive relationships will constantly overthink with, what should I be doing today? Making sure they don't upset their partner or abuser, generally the same person, but obviously in abusive relationships. What can I do to make sure that, they don't come home in a mood, or that I can placate it, or that I can fix it, or that I can change it? And how can I make them happy? How can I please them? That's a lot of stress on the body and mind. And so those emotional stresses and anxiety, I believe, are slowly killing us. Physically abusive relationships can harm us physically, but abusive relationships harm us emotionally, because our bodies can't live in stress mode and growth mode at the same time. So you either live in stress, anxiety, survival, trauma, or you live in growth, healing, repair. You can't live in both at the same time. So when your body is not in stress and survival, it can help that healing, that process of healing your immune system, elimination system. There's lots of different things that your body can do. Well, the cells do it themselves. But if you're living in that stress and survival, that's where all the energy goes. Energy doesn't go to immune system to heal, growth, and repair. So creating that physical safety, even while you're in the relationship, is so key to being able to eventually leave the relationship and have those strategies in place. Once you leave the relationship, physical safety in the form of housing, safe housing. Either you will leave and go and live somewhere else, or you will stay in the home. And I do recommend engaging with a service who offers those safety, personal safety and accommodation safety measures, such as deadbolt locks, locks on windows, making sure that you have personal safety alarm systems if you are worried and scared for your safety. Linking up with for sensor lights, and changing the locks, for instance. This is a contentious subject because I know that everybody has mixed experiences, but AVOs, they are just a piece of paper, but when you have an AVO in place, you can breach that AVO if the abuser, ex-partner, even current partner, breaches those conditions such as must not assault, intimidate, threaten. Yes, there are lots of other systemic issues with police and AVOs, but I do recommend applying for one as a form of safety in amongst a bigger plan of your, of creating safety for yourself. An AVO isn't the only plan, but it's part of the plan. And then breaching that AVO, if it is, calling the police and making a report that it has been breached. So once leaving as well, the second thing I find, or even before leaving as well, I think this is crucial, is support. Build your support networks. You are going to need them before you leave the relationship and after you leave the relationship. And while I don't want to discourage you cutting off family members of your ex or current partner of the abuser, or mutual friends that you share together, I want you to be aware that people who know both of you and who knew the abuser first will have conflicting information. Feelings is probably a better word. They will have conflicting feelings and emotions about them because they may not have seen that side of them. They may feel that you have maybe provoked something. They will have their own thoughts and opinions. So I think it's really, really important to create a safety network, a support network of both social, friends, employees, colleagues, and services while you're still in the relationship and after leaving the relationship to help you move along that pathway. And that can be in the form of talking to people, processing your thoughts and feelings, having a time out with them, going out for dinner and having that time where you can just interact with another adult human being and not even discuss the relationship, discuss other things. Just take a break from what you're experiencing. Have fun. Take a break from what's going on in your life. So I really do encourage people to build a support network of people who don't know your current partner, ex-partner, abuser, whatever. Because while I said before, I don't want to discourage you just cutting people off, there are conflicting thoughts and emotions. There is going to be information that they know, that they hear about the situation that just might make things a little bit challenging. Build those support networks of people who have your back and, are there for you. And so I started off by volunteering at my children's school. I went to play groups. I took my young kids to play groups. And yes, it was a process. And yes, I had to step right out of my comfort zone. But I was able to have those support networks in place when it came time to escape the relationship and then trying to build myself up after I left the relationship. Find your tribe. Find people who have your back and who are there for you, because you're going to need it either before or after. And abusers can isolate us, and it's really important to try and acknowledge the isolation and then still build your support network. So if you are unable to leave the house, or you get, multiple questions in the third degree after leaving the home, try and find some support online. Even somebody that you can bounce with and connect with can really be such a life-saving grace, period after, when you really need it. The third thing is I'm going to term sustenance. I originally wanted, I look at it that, you nurture yourself and nourish yourself, but to keep in line with the 4 S's, I'm calling it sustenance. And that's about really taking care of you who you are in mind, body, and spirit. So good food, fresh air, physical movement, exercise, taking care of yourself. If you want to go and get your hair done, go and do it. If you want to get a massage, go and do it. Take care of you. You are worthy of it. You are deserving of it. And it's absolutely essential that we fill our own cups. You know, all those cliche statements about you can't pour from an empty cup, you can't help other people if you're, feeling burnt out yourself. You really can't. Nurture and nourish yourself. When you have that safety in place, when you've got support in place, then you can really focus on physical movement, taking care of your body, feeding it, nourishing it with good food, with sleep, with hydrating yourself, with taking care of your body, healthcare. If you need to go and see a doctor about something, please make the time to look after you and to go and see a doctor or a nutritionist or a naturopath or a chiropractor or a psychologist or a counselor or anybody who can help you to take care of you. The fourth one is self-acceptance. And I like this one because self-acceptance is not about being perfect. It's not about reaching a healing destination. It's about how you view yourself along the healing pathway. We all have flaws. We all have weaknesses. And self-acceptance is about accepting those anyway. It is not hating all of yourself because you don't like a particular part of yourself. It is accepting that there are things that you have done, said, behaved, responded due to certain circumstances, and loving yourself anyway. It's forgiving yourself for what you might have done when you were in that survival mode and just trying to survive. It's forgiving yourself for the way that you responded to situations when you were triggered, because it brought up a lot of emotions and a lot of feelings that was quite harmful or quite triggering to you and took you back to a really significantly, potentially harmful place in your life. That's what a trigger is. It takes you back to feeling like you're back there in that moment and you're experiencing it. So accepting that you might have behaved in ways that you're not proud of, but they were necessary at the time for your survival. And it's about forgiving yourself and being okay with that, because there's nothing wrong with that. It is just what you had access to at the time. The old saying of, when I knew better, I did better. And there are lots of things that I've done in my life that I'm not proud of, but I understand a lot more about why I did the things I did and how they came about. And I'm a lot easier on myself these days about what I did do and what I did say and things that I did, participate in, or responses that I had. I'm much more forgiving and loving of myself because I understand that I behaved in ways that I did at the time, and when I knew better, I did better. So they're my 4 key areas to not only escaping a violent relationship, but in your healing afterwards. So safety, create safety, both physical and emotional safety. Whether you're in the relationship, whether you're out of the relationship, whether you don't have any contact, whether you're still trying to work that out. Safety, very, very key. Support, so important. Find your tribe, find your people, find those who have your back. And that will be, I had people who not only listened to me, but physically stayed with me. There were, right after I escaped the relationship, I was so scared he would come back to the house. And I had people that stayed with me, that slept in my house with me. Friends, and my mum was a huge support. And people who babysat my children so that I could continue to go to work. I could not have gotten through that period of my life without some really significant supportive people, my community, my tribe. Find them. Sustenance, take care of yourself because you deserve it, because you are worthy of it, because you're allowed to, because you have permission to care about yourself. And self-acceptance, forgive yourself for what you might have been through, for what you think you should have known better, for what you think you should have done better, because when you know better, you do better. And everything that you've done was all about just trying to get through, just trying to survive, and just trying to make it through another day. And there's nothing wrong with that. So I'm Lisa from Lisa's Sanctuary. My message is to help people to create a pathway from where you are to where you want to be. And I share from my lived experience, my lived expertise of childhood abuse and domestic violence. You are significant because you are, and I love you because you exist. Have a great day.